Hello and welcome to this video on TCBC solo rides. As a step towards the full reopening of the TCBC group riding season, we are implementing a new solo ride program in which we'll be placing rides on the calendar that can be registered for and ridden over the course of the following week. These rides will be covered by TCBC insurance and mileage credit will be awarded for the completion of the rides. Please remember, these are solo rides and meant to be ridden alone or with members of your immediate household. When looking at the calendar, you'll notice that the rides all have a 12:05 start time as well as are prefaced by the word solo ride, then followed by the name of the ride itself. The reason that this is done is that if solo rides are to continue after the group riding season begins, this would prevent and make sure that there's no confusion of solo rides and group rides. The rides themselves are very similar and pretty much the same as what you expect to see. And when you click into a ride, you'll see all the details that you're used to seeing, the ride with GPS URL, where the ride starts, as well as now you'll see a register button. When you click on the register button, if you use ride stats and have checked your mileage over time, there's a cookie saved in your browser that's used to pre-populate your information for registering for a ride. If you haven't done it, if you haven't used ride stats before, we'll cover how to find your member number and register for the ride in just a moment. However, in this case, since my information pre-populated, I'm going to go ahead and click on register. And once that's done, I'm returned to the calendar. I'm now going to go back into the ride and I'm going to demonstrate what it would look like if your member number did not show up, but also I'm going to use the register another feature here to go and show you that if you have another member in your household, perhaps a spouse who's a TCBC member, it's easy enough to register them at the same time. So when I click on this, in this case, this is what I would see if I did not have the information pre-populate from using ride stats in the past. So in this case, I can click on I'm a member, and it's going to bring up a box here, and I can either enter their member number, their last name, or a combination of the first name, last name. So I'm going to show you a couple ways that you can find somebody by finding my spouse in this case. I could type in her member number and just do it the easy way, and she shows up. I could also start typing in my last name, in which I would be able to pick her as well, or I could do a combination of first name and last name. In either case, I should be able to find the person. The most important part that you should notice here is that if your membership is expired, you're not going to be able to register for a ride. So in this case, I have now selected my spouse, and I can go ahead and click on register, and now she is registered for the ride as well. So what does that mean now that we're registered for the ride? Well, after you register for a ride, check your email a couple of minutes later, and you should receive an email that will give you a confirmation that you've registered for the ride. So in this case, you can now see the email, and this email will have a variety of information in it. The top of the information is going to be basically the TCBC ride briefing. This is what you would expect to hear when you're at a TCBC ride. And what we're doing is covering the safety information that is required of all TCBC rides and is a component of our ability to receive insurance through LAB. As we scroll further down, the first thing that you'll notice here is that you will see you must report this ride was completed by 6/22. Going back to the calendar, you'll see that you'll be able to ride this over the course of the next week, and then there will be a couple of bonus days in which you can go and come back through and record your mileage, which we'll talk about shortly. But you have until 6/22 to essentially say that you have done the ride. And the 6/22 is at 12:05 a.m., so it's really the day before. the Sunday before. In this case, we get the ride details, a link to our GPS route, other information that is really the same information you're seeing within the ride itself, but most importantly, when your ride is complete, use this link to report your finish. Therefore, keep this email until you have completed the ride. Once you have completed the ride, you will be able to click on this link and it will bring you back into Ride Stats, in which it will ask you how many miles you rode. You fill that in, click on Submit, and your ride is now complete. So hopefully this information has been helpful. We hope that you go out and try the different solo rides. They have been purposely set up to be somewhat spread out throughout the metro. We will continue to add new rides in the coming weeks and try to continue to add different locations so that they're not the same rides all of the time. There will be some repeats here and there, but if you have any questions, please reach out to RideStats at biketcbc.org. Thank you.